Back, Elaine. Nice to see you. Good chat about various issues like death, which seems to be current for both of us. So yeah, let's dive in, shall we, to today's quote as a starting point, and that should lead us nicely into today's lesson. We'll have a look at the book lesson, do a meditation on that. And maybe we have a bit of time for some of the psychotherapy supplements. But let's see how we go, shall we? Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen. You can read the quote, that would be useful. Sorry, computer's just a bit slow. Need to close a couple of tabs. Okay, I'll share my screen. Okay, can you read that?
Yes. Very truly I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these.
From Gospel of John, which isn't seemingly in Christian theology that acknowledged. You know, there's this idea that Yeshua, Jesus, was the only Son of God, that he could do all these incredible things because he was the only Son of God. No one else had the same power. But he said very clearly, they will do even greater things than I've done. So what he's really calling us to do is to join him and other great spiritual masters like the Buddha, Socrates, Laozi, in the great work of awakening the world to the truth that only pure formless awareness of perfect love is real. That's awakening. So your ego, or otherwise known as your belief in separation, will tell you that thinking you're among these spiritual giants is arrogant in the extreme. I mean, who are you? You think you're the Buddha, you think you Jesus. Who are you to claim that you're on the same level as these masters that may ask you? And then we'll tell you that you'll never get to that level. So best you get back in your box and stop these delusions of grandeur, trying hard not to reveal its own arrogance and disbelief. But we shouldn't listen to its lies, because every one of these masters said that you have access to the same power to work miracles through love as they did. But expressed really well in this quote by Yeshua. So never believe the ego when it tells you that you're unworthy of greatness, which is not greatness in the ego's interpretation of the word. In other words, what Yeshua calls grandiosity in A Course in Miracles, designed to puff up the ego's self-importance and compensate for its underlying feeling of unworthiness. So greatness refers to feeling and extending the infinite love of God, or an alternative Art of Letting Go language, pure formless awareness of perfect love, and the peace and joy that it inspires to other people through all of your words and actions. And this was the task to which all the great spiritual teachers like Yeshua, Siddhartha, Socrates, Laozi dedicated themselves. It made them truly great. And there's nothing stopping you dedicating yourself to the same task and claiming your rightful place among the teachers of God or love today and every day. accept your own resistance to the truth. So that prepares us quite nicely for today's lesson, I think, because it's all about practicing these ideas so that we can claim this power. You know, Yeshua didn't mean that this power is some theoretical power, something abstract that you wouldn't know, you wouldn't be able to use. He's saying that, you know, you will do these things that I've done and even greater things than these. You will be able to implement, to practice, to apply these things in your life. That was his promise. So that's a promise we've been called to live up to in this life. All right, so let's. Any thoughts, comments, or questions on any of that, Elaine?
Nice, yeah, very profound, but
Yeah, let's dive into the lesson, shall we?
mm-hmm.
It's going to. Put this. Okay, so today's lesson is, where are we? 319 is what I want. Lesson 319. You can read I'll read the original, you read the alternative.
Mm-hmm.
So I came for the salvation of the world.
I came to awaken the world.
It's quite a thought, really.
Oh.
The conscious folks might be his.
Okay, so here is a thought from which all arrogance has been removed and only truth remains.
Here is a thought from which all arrogance has been removed and only truth remains.
For arrogance opposes truth.
For arrogance opposes truth.
But when there is no arrogance, the truth will come immediately and fill up the space the ego left unoccupied by lies.
But when there is no arrogance, the truth will come immediately and fill up the space the belief in separation left unoccupied by lies.
Only the ego can be limited, and therefore it must seek for aims which are curtailed and limiting.
Only this belief can be limited, and therefore it must seek for aims which are curtailed and limiting.
The ego thinks that what one gains, totality must lose.
The belief in separation makes me think that one gains totally. Totality must lose.
Yeah. What one gains. Maybe someone gains would be better.
Mm-hmm.
What anyone gains. Totality must lose. So the ego is saying to us, someone gains, that's always at the expense of someone else. Someone else must lose because it's finite, based on finite, scarce material resources. That's how it works. Whereas, of course, as Yeshua says, yet it is the will of God, I learn that what one gains is given unto all. So if you read number 6.
Yeah. And yet pure formless awareness of perfect love wants me to learn that what anyone gains is given to everyone. And from the top, here is a thought from which all arrogance has been removed and only truth remains, for arrogance opposes truth. But when there is no arrogance, the truth will come immediately and fill up the space the belief in separation left, unoccupied by lies. Only this belief can be limited, and therefore it must seek for aims which are curtailed and limiting. The belief in separation makes me think that what anyone gains totality must lose. And yet pure formless awareness of perfect love wants me to learn that what anyone gains is given to everyone. So it's just talking about how the truth will remove arrogance because it opposes the truth. So when there's no arrogance, the truth will just be unoccupied by lies and separation and limiting beliefs. So it's saying when we're in the belief in separation, it makes us think we're gaining, but we're not, we're losing. It's only when we're in pure formless awareness of perfect love that we learn that what anyone gains is given to everyone, not just to the separate self.
The idea of sacrifice is so entrenched in the ego's thought system. So the ego thinks that in order for anyone to gain, then someone must lose. But that is a thought of sacrifice which denies perfect oneness, which is completely abundant. There's no sacrifice in perfect oneness. So that's why the idea of I win, you lose, or I lose, you win, so central to the ego's thought system, denies love. Because in love, there are no winners and losers. We're all the same. There is no sacrifice. Yeah, it's very, very deeply entrenched in the world's thinking. You know, the idea of sacrifice is foundational, really, to this world. There's no free lunch. Nothing comes for nothing. There's always a cost for everything, you know, whether you've got to pay it in money and time, in energy, resources, in other ways. You know, nothing comes free. We all know that from the ego's perspective.
Yes.
So it seems to be a law that is kind of immutable in this world, but it's just one of those fundamental laws of the ego that has then created the world we know of scarcity and lack and limitation and sacrifice. And that's what we have to overcome by realizing that just isn't true. Actually, there's only infinite abundance in which no one wins or loses. Actually, everything's given to everyone all the time. Now, that totally denies the ego's world, but that's how it goes. You know, these worlds completely contradict each other. So you can't accept one and not deny the other. That's what we've got to learn. So I have to deny the ego's thought system of sacrifice to accept infinite, eternal abundance. I can't believe in sacrifice and also believe in this infinite, limitless, eternal abundance. It's not possible because the one denies the other. And it's so obvious when you boil it down like this, and you know it should be so obvious that that's the case, but it's not obvious to most people. We try and somehow fudge it, and we try and find abundance temporarily within a thought system based on sacrifice. Okay, I'll find material abundance. You know, I'll create wealth. I'll find a way to create an abundant life in that way. But it's still based on the scarcity principle, on win lose, and obviously sometimes you'll then lose. It's not necessarily guaranteed that you always have that abundance, which is why a lot of people who become wealthy then fear that they'll lose their money.
Yes. Yeah. So they get all the insurances.
Because they were relying on that. That's their God. They've gone, okay, so this is going to protect me. This gives me security. This is really, really important to me. So they value it, put a lot of investment in it, literally. And then, the fear is, well, what if it gets taken away? What if I lose it? Then what would I have? Who would I be without the money? So it becomes part of someone's self-concept.
Yeah.
And that's obviously how the ego works.
And all of us do, to some degree, have this money problem, don't we? All of us, even the spiritual.
Yeah, especially spiritual people. I think the archetype of the broke spiritual seeker is legendary. It's like
Yes.
So many people on a spiritual path are, broke or just
Laughing.
struggling,
Yeah.
just surviving. Why is that? Well, okay, maybe because they don't pursue money in the same way as other people. That's part of it. But I think there's also, that's their scarcity program playing out. And it's about really looking at that and overcoming it. So the last few months, I mentioned this before, I've really been working on abundance, just feeling that inner abundance, no matter what's going on in the world and what's going on with my various business ventures.
It's a massive.
It's just about connecting with that inner abundance and trusting that to guide and allow the process to unfold from that feeling rather than a feeling of scarcity. Scarcity is like, oh, no, there's not abundance. I'm worried. I'm scared. I'm going to run out of money, or there's not going to be enough. And then I make decisions accordingly. Abundance says, no, there's always going to be enough because, life is abundant because it is limitless. And as I give, I receive, and there's no limit to that. So now you're accessing the truth. And if you can bring that into your life, into your business ventures, it makes a big difference. There's no doubt. I'm starting to see that. Okay, so any other thoughts about paragraph 1? Okay with that? Let's have a look at one of Kat's slides, if you can read that.
The ego thinks that what one gains, totality must lose. Yet it is the will of God, I learn, what one gains is given unto all. And then he's got all these characters with 10 units each.
Yeah.
10 units equals everybody getting 10 units.
Everyone getting 10, which is not the maths of the ego. The ego says, well, you're given 10 units away to someone, then there's nothing left for you and there's nothing left for anyone else. Scarcity principle. And people go, but hang on, that's logical. How can you say, 10 doesn't equal 40? But we're not talking about finite units. Love is not finite. It doesn't work in the same way as a finite material thing. They operate in different worlds, in different realities. So you can't make sense of the Holy Spirit within the ego's framework, because it just goes, well, that doesn't make sense, because on a finite level, if you've given away 10 units of finite something, 10 sweets or chocolates or whatever it is, whatever the gift is, or money, then you don't have that, and you give it to someone else, then they have it and no one else has it. That's the finite material world of the ego. But he's asking us to go beyond that, and I must say I struggled with that for quite a long time. It was like, hang on, that doesn't really make sense, until you realize that he's talking about something on another level.
Of course.
It's not finite and material, so it doesn't then have to obey those finite material laws. 10 units of love, it can be shared
To all.
to everyone, because it's not finite. It's not like, oh, I give them the love to that person, now there's none left. No, because that loving awareness is still within me, and so I can give it to another person and another and another, and the more I do that, the more I feel it, so the more I have of it. That is how it works. The more you extend love, the more you feel it, so the more of it you have to give. So if we just, remind ourselves of that, then this makes complete sense. Yeah, okay. The more loving I am to people, the more loving I feel, the more love I have to give. So it's not finite, it's actually infinite. But we have to start it off with a giving process. Because if we say, oh, I've only got a scarce amount of love or anything, and so I can't give it, then what are you saying? I believe in scarcity. I believe in sacrifice. Which is why, this generosity is important, because you're saying, I believe in abundance. But I really believe it because I'm willing to take an action and to give whatever that may be. Maybe it's just love, kindness, maybe it's money or something material that money can buy. Maybe it's your time and your energy. So that's why in most spiritual paths, they recommend that the spiritual practitioner give. That there's a path. There's a big part of the spiritual practice is giving. Maybe just being loving and kind. That's one way, or doing voluntary service, doing volunteer work, service to others, dedicating your life to some kind of greater mission or cause, which is about serving others. They all have it because it teaches you that love isn't limited and that there is abundance, and that the ego's thought system isn't ultimately true then. And you learn that experientially. The more you give and the more you see the impact of that and feel the impact of that, the more you can go, okay, I'm understanding this now. So really one act of giving, you give anyone anything in a spirit of love, you give it to the entire sonship. It's given to the whole mind, we call the sonship, even though it's targeted at one individual. It's a gift to all of it. And these ideas, these thoughts can be really, really, really helpful and powerful in helping us live a more expanded life. Okay, does that make sense, Helen?
It does.
Yeah, it's very one of the hardest lessons I think to learn in the course, because that scarcity program is so entrenched, and we didn't generally grow up with parents and siblings and peers saying, oh, there's lots to go around, don't worry, you'll always be provided for.
I know.
Give freely and generously because resources are infinite and abundant.
No,
Quite the opposite. Most of the time it's like, oh, money doesn't grow on trees.
that's right. Yeah.
Don't waste it because it's not around, and we don't have enough money to do this and this and this, and so you can't just have anything you want. So we learn from a young age that scarcity is the law of this world, and then we've got to unprogram that now in much later life, having had a whole lifetime of this seemingly living according to this false law. We've now got to deprogram ourselves. Actually, this is the truth. There is only abundance. And I've got to start living that way, even in a world that still believes in the scarcity program of the ego. That's part of forgiveness. That's a spiritual test. To be generous in spite of the laws of scarcity of the ego, in spite of the fact that on a material level, your resources are limited. Like no one has infinite money and infinite time and infinite possessions. So yes, you're dealing with that, but you just can't make that your reality. You can't say, okay, well, I'm going to be ungenerous because material resources are limited. I'm gonna find the love in my heart and allow that to guide me. So if I can help and heal and give to anyone, I will, even if it's resources that I think are scarce. And then that is forgiveness in action. You're forgiving the scarcity belief away, and so often what happens is then more resources come. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
You give it away and you go, you're a bit like, oh, I'm not sure about that, but okay, it feels like the right thing to do. I'll give, and then okay, suddenly, that money you gave is replaced, coming from an unexpected source. You get it just shows, and that's just showing you that okay, you were correct. The law of life is abundant, and the resources, even on a material level, aren't limited. There's always more. You can access. You can tap in. Is what genuinely abundant people in the world, living in the world but not of the world, can do. Okay, I can be generous and live this abundant life, knowing that life will always provide. So I'll never go wanting. I'll never not have enough for myself. If I'm just guided by the Holy Spirit. Now that doesn't mean you just go and give all your money away to a random stranger. It's just like, okay, I'm guided in what I do. If I feel the call to help someone, then, I'll do that. So you're still being, somewhat sensible. And the course is not asking you to do, crazy things. It's just asking you to listen to your heart, and in a situation, if you can help, then do help, because you could, and then you're so often shown that abundance comes, and that whatever you gave is replenished in another way. That's what I've found, and it's not just my experience. Many spiritual seekers who tried these things say the same. You start giving, and miracles start happening, and you start learning then another law, because remember, life is trying to teach you that it is actually abundant, and that you don't need to fear and believe in the scarcity program of the ego. And how better to learn it but in practical application in your life. So not a theoretical lesson, you learn it practically by actually showing up in a loving, kind, generous, giving way, and then seeing the impact of that, seeing the results of that. And then that is the best way to learn, because you've seen firsthand, okay, I did this, and then this and this and this happened, and actually that's shown me that resources aren't really limited, but there's always more if I just have faith. So a very simple lesson, but a very profound lesson, and one that's essential to learn if you're going to undo the ego. So you can't go to God if you're generous and unkind and just thinking about yourself. You'll never access this infinite eternal abundance if you're thinking that way. All right. So let's should we go into the prayer, Elaine?
Yes. Can I read the original?
Yeah, if you want to.
Father, your will is total.
My source, your awareness is total.
And the goal which stems from it shares its totality.
And the goal which stems from it shares its totality.
What aim but the salvation of the world could you have given me?
We should change totality to wholeness. What do you think?
Mm,
You think that's
yeah,
better?
yes.
Share its wholeness. What aim but the awakening of the world could you have given me?
And what but this could be the will myself has shared with you?
And what except this could be the awareness myself has shared with you? So I've just translated here will as awareness with a capital A, and salvation is awakening. Totality is wholeness. But I don't know what the concept of the will of God does for you, but I've always found it a bit difficult to kind of get my mind around. Your will. Okay, so does God have this intention for our lives in practical terms? Does he sit there directing and saying, right, you're going to do this and this and this? And the truth is, that's not how it works. It's more an awareness, and that deeper awareness then informs your mind. From that awareness, you can then have thoughts and change your mind, change perceptions. So have a look at the Holy Trinity, because this indicates it. So this is the higher awareness at the top level, level 1, Ken Wapnick call it. And then that awareness is translated into the world via the Holy Trinity, being the Christ or the Son, which is your true self or higher awareness. And that has the ability then to perceive correctly. So the true self remembers perfect love, which is the Holy Spirit, and is able to then translate perception, the perception of the ego, into the perception of the Holy Spirit and the true self or the Christ, which is corrected perception, healed perception, which sees everything from a perspective of oneness instead of separation. And that's a very profound perceptual shift. And that change of perception coming from the higher self and the remembrance of perfect love working in tandem is the work of the Holy Trinity. That's the operating system for your life that ultimately restores your mind fully to pure formless awareness of perfect love. And in pure formless awareness of perfect love, when you're fully there, there's no need for a true self. There's no need for remembering perfect love, because you know that you are perfect love. You know that experientially. But while we're learning it, the true self and the remembrance of perfect love are important, because we've got to use them to find our way home to pure formless awareness of perfect love, to that perfect formless state in which none of the construct, the Holy Trinity, isn't needed anymore. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, I went through it with John actually yesterday. So he was saying, well, the mistake I think a lot of seekers make is they try and make the Holy Spirit into an entity. The Holy Spirit is an entity, and then in Christian theology, a lot of the theologians make the mistake of trying to make the Holy Spirit and the Christ and God co-equal. You know, they're all equal. But the truth is, God is level one. Above that, these happen at a lower level, the level of illusion. You only need to remember perfect love because you've seemingly forgotten it. That forgetting is an illusion, but you know, you have to go through the illusion of remembering it in order to reconnect you to this pure formless awareness of perfect love awareness, this state. So it's a necessary part of the awakening process, as is the idea that you have a true self that really is connected to one awareness, but that true self can now still perceive with the remembrance of perfect love guiding it. And so it reinterprets all of your experiences that seem to exist and happen in the physical universe of time and space from the perspective of oneness. And this, actually, I want to ask you, because I thought about running something for the Miracle Network around the Holy Trinity, because I haven't really seen it explained in course circles very well. Is that something that would interest you if you just got an email from course organization like the Miracle Network?
Oh, yes. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, what is the Holy Trinity, and explaining this in more depth, because I don't think it's well understood. I don't think it's a concept that's.
It is, yeah, no, it's.
Yeah, so that's the plan. I want to do a bit of marketing, and by the way, I'm doing another Art of Letting Go masterclass next Thursday. I was going to do it this week, but
okay.
given what happened with my dad, I've just postponed it. So
yes.
I think you introduced me to Kate, didn't you? Just if you.
Oh yes, I will do. Yes.
Have a chat to her and say, does she want to join?
I will do. 2 seconds there. The doorbell went. Just 2 seconds.
Yeah, no problem.
Oops.
All right, so why did we come to the world? So look at the slide. We've been told in lesson 155 that those who choose to come to the world Why did we come to the world? We've been told in lesson 155 that those who choose to come to the world are seeking for a place where they can be illusions, and avoid their own reality. This implies we didn't really come here, as we often tell ourselves, to advance our spiritual journey. We came or fell asleep to avoid our own reality. It was our unforgiveness of ourselves that hurled us into the world. And so our sin, our guilt, our fear, all of that caused us to come into the world, incarnate into a body. We have a look at this diagram. Sent into hell explains it quite well.
Sorry, I really don't know what happened there.
Yeah,
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, it's obviously Zoom just kicked me off. Yes.
Yeah, you just dropped out.
Yes.
Okay. Let's just start again. So
Yeah, of course I shall mention to Kate, yes.
yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, absolutely, yes, yeah.
I'll send you it. It'll be 7 p.m. next Thursday.
7 p.m. Yeah,
I'll send you a message. I did actually try and call her, but she didn't return the call, so it might be better coming from you.
Yeah, no.
And anyone else you want to invite.
Yeah, will do, yes, of course.
Okay, so let's read this slide. If you can read those, there's a few interesting ideas there.
Yeah. Why did we come to the world? We have been told in lesson 155 that those who choose to come, in quotes, the world, are seeking for a place where they can be illusions and avoid their own reality. This implies we didn't really come here, as we often tell ourselves, to advance our spiritual journey. We came, in brackets, or fell asleep to avoid our own reality. It was our unforgiveness of ourselves that hurled us into the world. And how can we return? By accepting the goal God Himself has assigned to us. We accept it by repeating, I came for the salvation of the whole world, and not just a few people in my life.
Yeah, so this takes you out of the specialness of the ego. It makes you remember that awakening is for everyone, and this is awakening of the whole mind. You know, every person, parent person, and sentient being is part of the one mind. So it can never just be about a small exclusive group of people that you call your family, your friends. It has to be, the whole mind. And the way out of the dream is to reinterpret the ego's nightmare of separation and guilt and sin for that separation and the fear of punishment that comes with it, and we project that out onto the world as anger, attack, accusation, blame, attack onto others. But all of it comes because of a tiny mad false idea that you are in fact separate from your source. So to awaken from that, we just have to question that belief. So, but if that's not true, then there's no guilt, there is no sin, there's no separation. So none of this exists: the guilt, the sin, the fear, the need to accuse and blame and complain and attack. These just don't exist because none of it's true. And that's the radical forgiveness that the Holy Spirit helps us do as the remembrance of perfect love. Reinterprets all of this and just says, this is not so, this isn't true, this is false. So it's really, really simple, but it's difficult to do because these things just carry on. They're in this world. Well, these effects of the ego seem to be pretty entrenched, and now we have to, continually face them and overcome them. Okay. So when you say I came for the salvation of the whole world, came for the awakening of the whole world.
Yeah.
You dedicate yourself to a higher cause, to a higher purpose. So, my life must be about this process of awakening myself and everyone. And I dedicate everything to that. Now, how many people do you know who do that? It's quite rare.
I don't know
My
anybody.
only purpose in the world is awakening of myself and of the humanity in its entirety. Every human being. Most people don't have that idea, do they? They think,
No.
well, I'm here to better my own interests, or maybe the interests of my immediate family. I'm trying to make a living. I'm trying to get on in the world. I'm trying to make some more money. I'm trying to have a better relationship, and so on. So it becomes very much about ourselves rather than about, okay, this is about everyone's awakening. Everyone's awakening takes you out of that little, very narrow self-concept that's very limiting and restrictive, and says, okay, my life is dedicated to this awakening process of everyone. And the great masters who we revere did that. Yeshua fell out with his biological family. They were like, what are you doing? Because he went, everyone is my brother. Everyone's my sister. Everyone is a child of God. Everyone needs these teachings. Everyone needs to awaken. And so I'll dedicate my life to that. And they were kind of saying, well, come back in to the family construct and just be essentially the replacement for his dad, Joseph, who died. And he would have then, in normal traditional Jewish society, he would have then become the man of the house and assumed that role and dedicated his life to his immediate family and circle of friends, and lived in a normal way. But he chose something completely different, which thank God he did, because that's shown us another way of living and another way of being. Other than that very restricted, narrow ego self-concept way. And that's really what this lesson is saying. Dedicate yourself wholly to awakening yourself and to awakening others. And the two are bound up. You can't awaken yourself if others are not awakening as well. If you're not extending love and your purpose isn't to extend awakening into the world, how are you going to learn it yourself? You're not. So by extending it, by teaching it, your thoughts, your words, your actions all align towards this one purpose of awakening, you start to get it. You start to awaken yourself. You start to realize, my only purpose in this dream world is to awaken from it. What a relief. I mean, that's
it is.
That's such a relief. It's like, okay, so I don't have to get it all right on the level of form. I don't have to make money. I don't have to get my relationships right. I don't have to create a legacy. All that stuff that we thought was important just goes away. So the only thing I'm here to do is awaken from the dream, the nightmare of believing that I'm a separate self. Okay, well, I can do that. That's okay. It's going to have its tests and its challenges as well. But at least that's something that's achievable, that I can do, and that will bring me a lot of peace and joy and meaning in my life. When you're letting go of illusions, you do start to feel that peace and joy and all the other higher states coming back. It's just as a natural consequence of liberating your mind from the ego. These things naturally start to arise. So you don't have to worry about being happy. You just have to dedicate your mind to awakening, which means letting go. Awakening, the way of awakening is forgiving or letting go of your nightmares. That's all you have to do, and then you'll be happy. So simple. They're seeking happiness in all these different places. No, the only key to happiness is forgiveness, as one of the lessons says. Key to happiness is forgiveness or letting go. That is what's going to work. It's the only thing that's going to work. So that's what I've got to do. I've got to master this radical forgiveness or letting go in order to be happy and peaceful and have a happy, peaceful, fulfilled, meaningful life. I've got to master forgiveness, or the art of letting go, as I call it. So simple. It makes life very, very simple. Okay, that's all I've got to do. Okay, it's a task. It's not easy. Forgiveness is the hardest thing that we have to learn as human beings, but at least I know what I've got to do. You know, my mission is very clear. I'm not confused and going, well, maybe I've got to do a bit of that, and then, oh, that doesn't work, maybe I've got to go and do that. I think most people run around in that state of confusion most of the time. Oh, seek that goal, that didn't work. Oh, I'll seek another false idol. And you know, that's only going to lead to ultimately to depression, sadness, depression, because it's like, well, at some point you've got to realize that it's not working. That strategy is never going to work. So rather just realize it up front. Let's just say, okay, I'm just going to save you a whole load of time and pain. I'll just tell you that's not going to work. So, you know, you can try it all you like, but just trust me on this. It's not going to work. So listen to me, and, you know, here's what is going to work. What all the course's training is to do. Okay, forgiveness, letting go, that is the only thing that's going to work. So dedicate your life to learning that. As you said, it's a very simple course. This isn't rocket science. It's very, very simple, and actually very doable. If you just dedicate yourself to it, say, look, my only task is to learn how to let go. Okay, that's all I have to learn. Everything else will come from that. That's quite simple. I have a singular focus. Now, I don't have multiple things going on. I just have that one key skill, if you like, that I've got to learn and master in this world, and then everything will follow. And then my function follows my purpose, my happiness, my peace, my joy. You know, everything in the world is taken care of because I'm doing it from the perspective now of infinite eternal abundance rather than of scarcity. See how it's all tied up? Forgiveness removes the scarcity and restores your mind to an abundant state, which is its natural state. And so you stop hiding from that abundance and avoiding your own reality as the abundant self you really are, and instead start accepting it back. Even in the face of the illusions of the world, which often persist, that tell you, no, that's not true. There's a lot of scarcity, and you need to take care of yourself and be fearful. But that's the world's programming. Okay, so good lesson. Yeah, I mean, we've looked at these themes before. These aren't new, but
we always need them.
Repeats the lessons because he knows we need multiple times to learn them.
Thousands of times, yes.
Yeah, to like go over it again and go, okay, so it's the same lesson, you know, we dealt with earlier in the course. There are lessons about as you give, you receive, and so on. Same lesson, but did you really learn it? Or is that scarcity belief is so entrenched
it is
in our minds that then to undo it, you know, requires all of this mind training work, this deprogramming, looking at it again whenever it comes up, and it comes up often. Looking at it again and going, okay, you know, I'm aware of it, and I'll correct my mind in this moment. So this isn't true. This scarcity program, the thoughts, the emotions that come from it, the decisions that I might take, the actions, none of that's true. It's based on a false idea. Even though in worldly terms it seems to be true, and the results, the projections of the world seem to justify it. It's not true. That's forgiveness. You're correcting on a very fundamental level your thought system when you practice forgiveness in that way.
And it dresses in all kinds of forms. Mine is at the moment workmen. We just don't seem to be able to get workmen we trust. You know, and they're all, I mean, yesterday's the termites are back, you see. So got a nice, very charming, friendly young man who did as necessary, you know, put holes in the wood so that he could inject this so-called borate in it. And then when he left, we discovered that the stuff that he'd used was for woodworm, not for termites, and it was obviously cheap stuff. So he'd been there just under about an hour and a half, and the spray was about €11. So for an hour and a half work, he charged us €250.
Wow. He took you for a complete ride.
Yes, so I did send him a message, and I said that we wanted borate for termites, not woodworm, and he knew that because I had all the messages to prove it. And so in that sort of line, would you say that these happenings that happen to us, is that a bit of scarcity in there as well? I don't quite always understand it, because at the moment I must have this mindset, ooh, can't trust them. And then, of course, then I get proved yesterday. He's using this cheap material.
It's entrenched in the world, you know, and that's the challenge. You go, well, if I just trust everyone, it's quite likely I'll get ripped off at some point.
And a few times in Tenerife, yeah, it happens. It's quite rare to get some. Yeah.
So what you got to realize is that none of that is true. It's part of the construct of the ego, designed to convince you that this world is real, that scarcity is real, that you can't trust your brothers, separation is real. Okay, so on a practical level, try and find good contractors. Try and do some due diligence and say, these are good, and I'll get references and so on. You can do that, but at the same time going, but on a higher level, none of this is true.
No, and I was going to say it's very difficult to get that, what you were talking about, contractors, and it's Tenerife. It's very much So it is a case.
Your lesson is to forgive that. You deal with it on one level.
Oh yes, just to let him know that he's used the wrong spray. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and that
politely.
Completely normal. I'm dealing with a lady who did my stuff. That recording and the video recording, and she charged me up front, and then after the fact says, "Oh, sorry, that video didn't quite come out right. I'm really sorry." I'm like, "Well, why didn't you tell me? You insisted on full payment up front before you released the files. Why didn't you tell me before you released
it's all a little. I know what you mean. There's just that underhanded stuff. Yes.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you did that because you wanted full payment, and then once you got payment, it's like, well, I got the money, so tough, tough for you. Sorry,
yeah,
and didn't work. Okay, well, hang on. So now one of the videos isn't proper, so that breaks the continuity of the whole sequence. So what do I do? Oh, well, perhaps you can just do this and fudge it. I'm like, no, that doesn't really cut it. So you're not a doormat. It doesn't. This doesn't mean that you're a doormat. So like I've said to her, that's not really okay. You should have told me about it before, because then and she charged me overtime. You could have then said, look, I'll waive the overtime in lieu of that, or how can I help? Not just, oh, sorry, it's your problem. I'm like, no, you're a professional. You should have done that correctly.
You rectify it.
You rectify it. Okay, so make a plan then. What would love do? All right. So I've said, look, I'm coming back anyway. I'll come back to Cape Town. We'll go out there. We'll shoot it again, and any other bits and pieces that need to be shot. But that's on your own account. I'm not paying you again, because we're only doing it to fix your error, which didn't need to happen. If she'd been professional, she wouldn't have made that error. She left the camera recording while she was holding up a scrum, and it was out of focus. I'm like, well, why didn't you check? It was in focus, and after the shot, why didn't you check and go, oh, actually, sorry, that whole thing's out of focus. We've got to do it again. Why didn't you do that? You're the pro. You're supposed to know these things. So it doesn't mean you're a doormat.
Right. Well, as it happens, I did send a very kindly letter, giving him the benefit of the doubt, and he has said, "Oh, well, we'll let this dry, and then we'll get the Borat. I'll call in 2 weeks." So we'll wait and see. So like you say, I wasn't a doormat. I did put it kindly and not confrontationally, because that will get you nowhere.
Yeah.
And he has come back and said, yes, we'll come back in 2 weeks and get the Borat free of charge. And I thought, well, that's fair enough, rather than paying €250 for an hour and a half work without a spray that's going to do nothing.
And if people fix it, then you're like, okay, it's not ideal, but it's okay. But if they're unwilling to fix it, and make amends, then there's a problem. I told you about that guy who blew my trading account, and I'm going, okay, well, fix it then. If you did that, then compensate us, and then it'll be fine. But he didn't. He just went his way and went, okay, well, so that's okay. So now that's the game you want to play. You need a lesson. So I'm to go to Namibia at some point and lay a criminal charge, because well, you can't just do that and expect to get away with it.
No, it is.
So you need a lesson. You need some correction. He actually needs that lesson to correct his thought system. You understand? Someone has to give him that lesson in order to go, okay, that's not really okay. It's not
there
okay.
Are many people. There's many people that seem to do that. They say they're going to deliver this service, and they give you give them X amount of pounds or euros, and it's not a fair deal at all.
Yeah, that's the scarcity again of the ego. You see how it works?
Yeah. So
because I can get something from you, so I take from you, I benefit, and you lose, and I won't give you fair value in exchange. So
Yeah,
I've
that's what I
won and you've
felt.
lost. Scarcity. Oh, aren't I clever? I've won, except that they haven't really won because in the process they've denied their true self, they've denied love, and that creates karmic effects. And then down the line, so,
They're not
something
going
will
to
happen
get,
to them.
the trouble
Yeah,
is if they do it to me, they'll do it to others.
they'll do it to others, but the tables will be turned on them
Yeah,
because as you give, you receive. So if that's the law that you live by, then someone's going to screw you. It's just
yeah,
gonna. That's how it goes. You can't
right.
keep giving that energy out and expecting that it's always going to go your way. You're gonna be on the losing side at
Mm.
some point, and then often those lessons are really hard. So this particular chap will get a shock because I'll be like, right, I'm showing up on your doorstep, and I want the money tomorrow, or you're going to face a criminal charge.
Yeah,
Whoa, okay. Now suddenly we're like, okay, well, that's what has to happen for you to learn the lesson. If I'm all okay, well, it's all right, just let it go. He doesn't learn. He'll never learn.
we
He'll just
always
keep doing the
wonder,
same thing.
we always wonder how they can live with themselves, though. It just seems like
Well,
strange.
I think people just, they live in denial. They just
All
deny
right,
their true self. They deny
right,
their conscience, and they just go, oh, well, like just forget about that. Let me just distract myself with something else, and I'll just
right.
carry on my. In this case, is trading and doing whatever else he's doing. Often, alcohol, drugs, substances, etc., because it
Right,
numbs you out. It stops you thinking of that.
right,
So we
yeah,
just
because
distract ourselves.
that's the bit that gets me. I always think, but I just think, how can they do that to people? Yeah, but of course that's very naive. That's just coming from the
Well, the ego,
naivety.
you see, if you're invested in the ego, then that makes complete sense to the ego. The ego says, I'm a
Yeah,
separate self. This is a win-lose, dog-eat-dog world. So, I'm going to do what suits me, and I'm going to win, and
yeah,
other
yeah,
people lose, and that's fine because that's good for me. So I don't really care about anyone else. I
no,
just care
yeah,
about me.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not spiritual, it's not true, but that
Not
is the
nice.
way.
It's not nice. It's
Yeah, it's
certainly,
horrible.
well, yeah,
It's,
well, it
it's the
gave
way a
many,
large part of humanity operates. Unfortunately, if your thought system is egoic, then that's the way you're going to think, and that's the way you're going to
yeah.
behave. And
Well,
then
it's,
it makes complete sense. We go, how can you do it? Well, because you believe in the ego, because you believe you're a
yeah,
separate self. And the separate self is selfish by its nature. It's very invested in its own interests. It's only looking out for itself. So then, yes, logically, you're going to behave that way. Okay, it's not rocket science. You believe in the ego. This is what you're going to do.
you have to
Um,
be careful not to get too cynical, though, because like there, a charming young man. I mean, Dave found him very pleasant as well.
hmm.
So you've got to be careful because you're going to think, oh, if the next charming person comes along, they might be trying to, you know. So you've got
Yeah,
to,
well, you have to remain open. You
yeah,
say,
because you
well,
don't
I've
want to
got to
end up
give
being
everyone a fair
cynical.
chance, despite
Yes,
my past experiences, because it doesn't mean because I've had it in the past that it's always going to be the case. So obviously the ego then says, oh, no, no, you've been ripped off 2 or 3 times, so now you've really
and
got
the
to take
rest.
care because everyone's out to get you. That's part of the past conditioning that the course is saying, but you've got to really let that go
Yeah,
because you just don't know. Every moment every situation's a new situation. This person could be fine and absolutely trustworthy, and your past experiences have nothing to do with the
of
current one.
course.
But this is where the forgiveness comes in, because
Hmm.
without this awareness, you're not going to be able to do that. The ego is just going to
No.
go, well, okay, I've been screwed 2 or 3 times, so I'm going to be really careful, and I'm going to put in place all this, and then it's just fear, and fear
Yeah,
is
it's horrible.
fear
Yeah,
is,
you don't want to
is,
go
is,
down that road. Yeah, yeah.
so you've got to remain, open and trusting, but at the
But not
same
a
time, you
doormat.
might you might just say, well, like next time I did that recording, I would have a contract and say, let's just have a legal agreement. So it's all clear, it's all up
Yeah.
front. We've signed it. It's all in writing. From a clarity perspective, that's really helpful. If there's
Yes.
any disagreement, we can go back to the agreement. We say, what does it say? It's all dealt with. So there's none of this like, okay, you said that I said, things weren't disclosed properly.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's what some
probably
of
in
it's
hindsight, I
like.
should have. I knew the lady. She's sort of spiritual, supposedly, and
Mm,
she's a friend of a long-time course student. But I should have gone. Doesn't matter. Let's just do it properly. Let's do
mm,
an
mm.
agreement. And we sign that, and then it's very, very clear. We're both clear, and there's no disagreement. It's all laid out. It would have been more work, but it would have saved a lot of down the line. So there's okay. Next time I will. But because of that engagement, because I knew her, it was all happening, quite short notice. I talked to her. I'm like, and I'll get the files when I'm after she's done the recording. That was the discussion. I dropped my guard and I went, okay, no, don't have that process in place. So as a lesson, I should have, not out of fear, but out of like, okay, let's just be clear.
That's it. You've hit the nail on the head.
Let's be clear. If we have an agreement and it's all laid out, then we're absolutely clear on what the terms of engagement are and how it's all going to work, and that's really helpful. There's clarity, and if you violate that, then clearly it's stated in writing. You can't just get away with it because you've signed the agreement, and then there are potentially legal consequences. In this case, I mean, the amounts of money were too small really to go to court, but at least you're clear. Then there's no justification for saying, oh, well, because it's all in writing. So that's a way of, I'm just giving you an idea. That's a way of being in the world but not of the world.
Well, it's like I've got a situation now because our electric all went funny. So we've got a solar panel combi, and it's going to be very expensive. It's going to work out at nearly €2,500. So we've got to find the money somewhere. And unfortunately, we've been embargoed because there was a tax bill that hadn't been paid. It's paid now, but they're quick to take your money, the tax people here, but they'll never open up our savings account. So we're waiting. So this man's waiting for €2,500. And I just realised I've got no address, no information about him, only a Facebook message. And I thought, blimey, handing over €2,500, that's not a good plan. So I did send him a message saying politely, it would be really nice if we could have it like at least a WhatsApp exchange, but he didn't get back to me. So there's another one where I'm starting to feel, because he's quite charming as well and full of the chit chat and, very homely and all of that. And I'm starting to think, so if we can manage to find this money and we give that money to him and he could disappear because I've got no address, no nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got to have, there's the kind of, okay, I'm going to be practical in the world, but at the same time go, okay, this isn't really true. This whole thought system of fear and scarcity and lack and watching my back, it's not really true.
It's not nice, yeah.
It's just how this world works. So, can I be in the world, but not of it? I don't really buy the thought system, although I'm still going to just be sensible. Like, you're not just going to hand over your money to a complete stranger without any...
he's done a little bit of work for us. He has done work, and so far so good. So again, but this is like a huge amount of money. So we're thinking, and obviously we're still trying to get it at the moment, but the tax people have embargoed. We can't get into our account. So they're like that here because we were late paying our tax. That was because I'd forgotten all about it with his ankle injury. And like in England, you get a reminder.
I mean, that's just so they stop you operating.
Yes.
You can't operate because you haven't paid your rent.
Even if you'd had £1 million, they've blocked all of Dave's savings have been blocked.
Yeah, and that is actually outrageous. They shouldn't be allowed to do that because it's a denial of your personal right. Like, okay, so you owe them money, but you have a right to carry on operating and
well, I've got an appointment
with council finances and so on.
Yeah, well, I've got an appointment with him on Monday, and I've got a list of. I'll just say, look, when we owe you something, please, can you at least email us because I would have paid it.
Yeah. It's like just, instead of just blocking the account, just contact them and say, look,
and just let me know
amount is owing. So here's what's owing. Here's how you pay it. I mean, that's a completely normal thing to do. Not just like, let's embargo your account.
No warning, no letter, no email, nothing, just blocked. And then we realised, obviously, it was Dave's pensions. We have to pay our tax here rather than the UK because we live here, of course. So it's English, whatever, and it's a higher rate, but obviously we appreciate that. And it was actually €1,000 we owed. But because we were just those, I don't know how many, 2 or 3 weeks delayed, they put it another 225 penalties on top of that and embargoed our account.
But there's just the thought system of the ego, no forgiveness, no
Yeah.
reasonableness. Like, okay, so why doesn't someone just contact you and say, look, it's
I'm going to,
overdue. Would you
yeah,
mind paying? Here's that's a completely normal thing to do. No, we're just going to go heavy on the control. We're just going to embargo your account and
yeah,
create an
but
issue when
and
there doesn't
what
need to be an
makes,
issue.
and
It's crazy.
over the Christmas, they've
Yeah.
blocked it, and we've been over 3 times. We're having to go back again on Monday with a translator, and I'm going to have it this time. I'm going to say, look, please email me if there's tax owing. Let us know, and then we won't get into this state. And
Yeah.
it's like talking to a brick wall. They'll just do what they like.
Yeah.
So we've got it. Even Dave says, I think I should really move my savings. I said, well, be careful because they've already blocked part of it for them, his savings, because what he's got a really good investment. The Arena airport he took out about, I don't know, 8 years ago, and it just did very well. It's done very well. I think he put 5,000 in, and it's done very well. But they're quickly in there wanting their bit. So there's a big chunk that's in red.
Yeah, it sounds like a crazy, way
Yeah,
to
to be honest,
operate.
that's why
They
the
wouldn't get
Brits.
away with it in the UK. There'd be
No, well, they wouldn't in
outcry.
most European countries. But that's why a lot of Brits leave here. But we've decided, that, we're not going to cut our nose to spite our face because we like the weather here. I like my work here. I love the animals. So we're not going to, we're prepared to sacrifice, which is not, that's the ego again, sacrifice, isn't it? Sacrifice, which is not the idea. So I've got to let it all go, all of the rubbish, and just say, just go on Monday and just keep going. So this is now, I think, is it our third or fourth time? Whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not pleasant.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, my Spanish isn't great either. So I do need a real proper translator with Spanish. My basic is not good enough. But yeah, so I always say to people when they want to come over, it's not, it is, they think they're going to live the dream. It's not.
It's not paradise. No.
No, it's not.
There isn't such a thing. There's problems and issues.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And forgiveness you just have to keep forgiving.
Yeah. Yes.
Forgive all the craziness and insanity of the world, as it shows up, because that's what it's for.
It is. It is.
All right. So shall we do a meditation just to close this
Yeah,
off?
that would be good. Yes.
15
Yes.
minutes.
What time is it? Oh, yeah. Because you've got
Yeah. No, I'm actually okay. I can
You're okay at
carry
the
on for a
moment.
bit.
Okay. Yeah, that would be
Carry on
great.
for
Thank
another
you. Yeah.
20
So I
minutes.
can do because today I've got quite a lot of forgiving to do. Yeah.
All right. So let's dive in then to lesson 319. Meditation. So just making yourself comfortable. Sitting with your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight, cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. Start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. Breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clench the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Draw the energy up the spine to the crown of your head. Just pausing at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind and notice any thoughts and emotions going on, particularly anything related to purpose. It's early in the new year. It's time we think about resolutions. What are we going to do for the year? Goals, resolutions, purpose, meaning. And any of those thoughts, just look at them, breathe into them, and remind yourself that I came only for the salvation of the world. If you prefer the alternative language, I came to awaken the world. And breathe in on that. Allow that idea just to permeate deep into your mind. Just like a master like Ezra, his only purpose was salvation, was awakening of the world. We can all dedicate ourselves to that that purpose. It's just a choice that we make. And Yeshua even said, as in today's quote, you'll do things that I've done, even greater things than these, because we are all the same. We all have the same power, the same spirit within us. So just exhale on the truth of that. Have a sense of letting go of those old thoughts. Maybe you imagine a dark cloud or black smoke leaving you. So breathe it all out, expelling it all out. It's going, gone. Low stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest in this calm, quiet, peaceful state in between breaths. Access the what's been called the peace of God. So it passes all understanding. And just breathing in and out. Just calm, slow, deep, rhythmical breaths in and out through your nose. So here is a thought from which all arrogance has been removed. The thought that you came only for the salvation or awakening of the world. All arrogance has been removed from it and only truth remains. For arrogance opposes truth. But when there is no arrogance, the truth will come immediately and fill up the space the belief in separation left unoccupied by lies. So let it go, exhale it out. Breathing in, only this belief can be limited, and therefore it must seek for aims which are curtailed and limiting. Belief in separation makes me think that what anyone gains, totality must lose. And yet, pure formless awareness of perfect love wants me to learn that what anyone gains is given to everyone. What one gains is given to all. So just feel into that idea. So if anyone really gains anything, it's actually a gain to everyone, because it's non-dual awareness of abundance. There is no scarcity. There's only really oneness. Any scarcity on the material level doesn't really exist. In oneness, in love, there's no scarcity. Someone receives love and everyone gains by that. And you can't lose that love. It's permanent, it's eternal. And construct of separation and scarcity. So the ego thinks that what one gains, totality must lose, and yet it is the will of God that you learn that what one gains is given unto all. So you have 10 units of love, and the ego says, well, if you give 10 units of love to someone else, then it's gone. But that's the law of the material world. That's the law of the ego. Actually, 10 units of love can be given to multiple people. And the more you give it, the more you feel it. So the more you have of it. So actually your own sense of abundance increases the more you give it, which is why generosity, giving, gratitude, generosity, and giving are such a fundamental part of many, many spiritual parts, saying that you need to create a life where you're consistently giving to others through some kind of service, often active service, voluntary work, not just giving to get, to make money, or to further your own separate interests, giving because it feels right to do. So the love wanting to extend in and through you, and then that's how you learn this law of abundance. And actually, there is no limitation to this love, because truth, pure formless awareness is total, is complete, is whole. So breathing in again, saying my source, your awareness is total. Originals, your will is total. Father, your will is total. My source, your awareness is total. So just addressing this fundamental awareness in your mind, and the goal which stems from it shares its wholeness. What aim but the awakening of the world could you have given me? And what except this could be the awareness myself has shared with you? Ask yourself these questions. Breathe in this awareness into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is in this awareness. Feel it, connect with it, embrace it. If there's any other thoughts of lack and scarcity that are coming up to cloud this awareness, just breathe in, embrace this awareness fully. To and what you really are. And then just letting go. Blowing it all out with the breeze of your breath. The nothingness that it really is. It's going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest in this higher awareness. Find a sense of peace and stillness. Connect with the awareness which is abundant, always abundant. Yeshua called it abundant life. Shall have life and more abundantly coming from this awareness. Feel this abundant life in your mind, in your heart, infusing every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is in this abundance. So there's nowhere else to go, there's nothing else to do. Just breathe in and out through your nose, relax, be still. You still know that you are this abundant awareness. You still know that you are God. Abundant life, abundant awareness. Just breathing in and out through your nose. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. So just gently coming back. To an awareness of the body, the breath, senses in the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises, the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pause at the top of the inhale. Remind yourself of today's lesson. I came for the salvation of the world. Came for the awakening of the world. Came to awaken the world. Let go of anything else, any other thoughts about your real functional purpose. Just exhale them out, blow them away. The breeze of your breath. The nothingness they really are. On the count of 2, notice how the air flows out of your mouth, chest and the stomach suck back in. Your energy comes to rest in your buttocks, your groin area. Notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling and touching. Just noticing all these things from a very still, calm, quiet state of mind. State of mind without illusions, and which only the truth is true. Set the intention to stay here in this awakened state for the rest of the day. So it is said and so it is done. And on the count of 3, open your eyes. So just looking around, noticing what's going on in the room. Becomes very clear, non-judgmental space. If you feel calmer, a little more peaceful, a little more connected to this deeper inner awareness than you did 15 minutes ago when you started the meditation. Acknowledge the state so you can anchor it in and top yourself up with a breath break if you need to reconnect to it. And any thoughts of other purposes, other functions, scarcity, and so on come up, just let it go with the help of the lesson. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the meditation and of the session. So,
Thank you.
all good. So, yeah, I'll see you next week. If we could do maybe a Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday is actually quite a good day. Does Wednesday work?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Okay. Wednesday evening.
Great.
Kim
Yeah.
can join as well. I will send you a message about the Art of Letting Go masterclass on Thursday.
Yes.
You can forward it on to Kate and anyone else
I will do,
who
yes.
may be interested.
Okie doke. Well,
All
thank
right.
you. Yeah, all
Okay.
very helpful. Thank you. Namaste.
Thanks. Namaste, man. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so that's a wrap for today. Thanks to Elaine for joining. Thank you to you if you watch this on the live stream or you watch the recording and you would like to take a deeper dive into this. A couple of things you can do. Subscribe to the channel. You'll be notified whenever I go live, which is once or twice a week. You can also go to lifepool.com. You can see that in the background image. Just type in lifepool.com, or there's a link in the comments box below. And there you can sort of sign up to receive some of the information that I shared today for free on a daily basis via Telegram. So you'll need a mobile number with Telegram as an app downloaded on your phone. You'll receive a daily quote and some teachings around that, kind of blog post, if you like, around that, and then the daily mind training lesson from A Course in Miracles, a short breath break, mini meditation, a few minutes just to help you practice it, and invitations to join these live sessions, as well as the masterclass I mentioned earlier. I'll send out information about that on there. So sign up, and yeah, you can join the masterclass, which will show you how to take this to the next level, how to make the art of letting go into the one key skill that you need to learn and master this year. We're starting the Art of Letting Go course and the whole 1 year program again in March. So now's a good time to join, check it out, and hope to catch you on the inside of the group or on one of these live sessions soon. So sign up to the Telegram group, and you will be notified about the live sessions, as well as be given a login link to join. So look forward to catching you on the inside. Thanks for listening and watching, and namaste, which means the awakened self in me acknowledges and honors that same awakened self in you.